brothers, my sisters, how are we doing on this great evening? No idea what that is. Alright, so as we just saw in the first video that you guys just watched, rhythm reset has some potentially powerful implications. And so what I have written up here from the top left onward: knee pain, low back pain, migraine, plantar fasciitis, eyeglasses, somatic alignment, GI tract, lung, healthy John, nervous system. In its own way, rhythm reset has upticked each one of those systems for me personally. And we could speak a little bit about how exactly rhythm reset and tongue breathing works and how it could possibly affect something like knee pain. Alright, and so that's the example. Actually, let's just roll right here. And so that's the example we'll use right now. What the hell is that, bro? Is knee pain. And so let's just basically look, what is tongue breathing? What does it do? Okay, and again, I can't give you too much without spoiling my end of the bargain. You know, essentially, I'm a businessman, right? And since truth is self-evident, the more we actually start talking about this and I tell you exactly what it is and exactly, how it's affecting the rest of the body, just get, so if it seems vague, if it seems like you have some questions, just hang in there. You might be the one to sign up for coaching. All right, so essentially, let's start here. Knee pain. What is knee pain? So if we look at heart and all the interstitial stuff with the matrix here, and the fascial matrix, and then everything in the fascial matrix, like bones or muscle, knee pain is just a breakdown of the system. Right, so here we are. I told you absolutely there is a 1, 2, 3 kind of system, and so knee pain is essentially too much going on here and not enough, right, going on from this area. Right, there's not enough base. And so when there's not enough base, you either get too much or not enough, right? And so that's usually what happens. And people are usually stuck in a rotationary pattern, right? That kind of like spirals down their body. And again, we can do stuff for the too much, right? The hypertonic stuff, but what about the hypotonic? That's an inside job. And a lot of times knee pain in and of itself is easily fixed, but you got to get your base right. And so how rhythm reset and tongue breathing actually do this is by way of integrating layers. And that's all you do. You do the one thing, which is the practice. It's the tongue breath. Okay? Once you do that, it integrates layers. And so here's your tongue up here, right? There's the mouth and everything like that. Once your tongue comes online, it starts to embody something, actually, let's just say this, called tension prime. And tension prime is the shape of the tongue, essentially. But it just so happens that there's so much, if we just look down, right, at the tongue, there's so much going on here intraorally that's all connected to tongue. And so if tongue is in the proper shape, everything else has been pulled back to it in the proper shape. And that's essentially what integration is. And I'm talking about masseter too. Okay, masseter, temporalis, all that stuff. So tension prime is the shape of the tongue after you get going. And that's going to translate into the system and go all the way to the system, all the way to anus. We'll go ahead and write it anyway. We're professionals here. So it's going all the way to anus. Okay? And all of this in here is going to essentially tighten up. A lot of it is ring-based, with some like fascial stuff here, and then here's another ring-based, some more fascial stuff in between, and so it's like it's intersegmented. And how it will affect knee pain without telling you exactly what's going to happen is that the core, right, what I call the core, which is essentially just tongue tissue in different stages, different segmentations, right, along the journey of tongue tissue, the very dirty journey of tongue tissue. So essentially the core, once that stiffens up and you get past that, there is a sequence, and I can't tell you too much about what it is, what it feels like, and which muscles are going to come online. I mean, I could. But essentially, right, things are going to tighten up. And you will eventually, right, for knee pain, especially if we're talking about that, you'll eventually come to a point where you'll realize that, oh my God, like, you'll realize here's a graph that I'll just show you. Okay. You'll realize you're like at 30%. And trust me, when you get to the knee, you'll know you're at, you will absolutely know you're going to be at the knee. Right? And on this journey upward here, you're gonna be like, oh my God, okay, yeah, this is why. Okay, so there's a lot of experiential knowledge that goes into honestly explaining what knee pain is, what low back pain is, like where is it, what's it situated on, like do you have any previous injuries, etc., like what are your compensations? And so only the user really honestly knows that. And so you apply rhythm reset, you give them this, and all of their past experience now kind of organizes in a way that's like creates wisdom. All right. Let's see here. I almost put fibromyalgia on here, but again, that's just loose stuff. Fibromyalgia, that's like the pulling apart of like neural pathways. So like you have one fascial ley line here, right? And then you have like a nerve or something, and then you have it passing through another fascial ley line here. And if the pressure is too great this way, it'll sting. And then it'll radiate, right? And so you get this fibromyalgia stuff where really it's just fascial tension in either, well, I would say first it's this, especially on hypotonic rotationary patterns of the body and rotationary areas of the body where it's not really doing much, you could see something like this. And I've seen this played out and doctors calling it fibromyalgia, and I'm just like, no, there's just too much like pulling on it down here, there's just not enough like structure. But again, you start applying from the root outward, and you'll essentially start stacking properly, and things come online, and literally your nervous system is going to calm right down. Try to get a better arrow here. Your nervous system is going to calm down. Obviously GI tract stuff. If tongue tissue is going to tense up the core, and the core is just going to tighten up, you would obviously think that just by doing that, function is going to improve. Right? Exactly how? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Right? That's easy. Somatic alignment. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's talk about that for a second. In the tightening here, you're gonna get, right? Let's just say this is like a bone or something like that, and here's another bone, right, with some protruding shit. It's gotta come into this like that. And so somatic alignment, as this tightens here, okay, you're really gonna see an uptick in balance tension, right down to like multifidi and stuff like that, right down to the bone, ligature, all that stuff. That stuff's all gonna shift, right? And even somebody's, this kind of looks like a dog actually, but or freaking, I don't know, a man-child. Even somebody's facial structure, right, and the suture lines in the skull and whatnot, they're gonna shift, and their facial structure might look different, right, because of somatic alignment. Like there's a balance in pulling in the body, right, that comes and translates right from tension prime, right, which again is the shape of the tongue. And so this translates outward, and it becomes the status quo of whatever it is it's inhabiting. Okay? And so the message doesn't change, but it gets utilized differently in different spaces. But the integration process happens seamlessly, right? Wherever it needs to go, it goes, right? Whenever, I practice, I'm not like, hey, I'm trying to target this area, and, whatever it wants to do, I do, and then that's it. So again, all this stuff. Migraines, that's easy. I used to have bad migraines. Shifting of jaw, and you'll see it as the pain releases. You will say, oh my God, here's the pain. Here's what I was feeling. Because sometimes, we know this from, trigger point therapy, that, something when it radiates, it could have layers where people are only focused on this. And so you have to ask the right questions as a professional to really decipher, is it satellite pain, right? Or is it like epicenter pain? And again, as the user starts to heal, they're going to be like, oh my God, what I thought was out here just released. Here's exactly where it's coming from. Right? And so again, that's the gift, of rhythm reset and tongue breathing, is that illumination of what is currently in the dark. Okay, so that's just a little bit about how rhythm reset, tongue breathing kind of affects the body. Let's jump into real quick the business outlook. Okay, so essentially there's a lot of money that's being transferred in what I call the movement industry. Okay, so essentially the movement industry is just whatever it is. If it's movement based, if it's body based, that's probably it, right? So it's a gray area, but that's it. It is what it is. And so really what this is going to target, right, are the rehab-minded people. Okay, so speaking from a top-down level, as a professional, you're gonna probably want to situate yourself in some type of rehab situation just because of what it does to the body. Now, after everybody is on the same type of plateau, right, then you can kind of get into optimal performance and kind of uptick the branding, I guess. But for right now, guys, there's a ton of money being spent here in the rehab space. DCs, DPTs, right? You're getting a good brunt of it right there. Okay? Imagine having access to something, right? So let's just say the movement industry, and then what if you had the thing that the industry really needs? What if you had X? What if you had X? And the reason why I say the movement industry needs something is because everybody's parlaying around X, trying to say that they have X, but they really haven't found it. Because just think about it. If they had the information, right, that was, let's just say rhythm reset, what if they were teaching it? If it was really true, are you kidding? Would we really be in a state that we are right now? Right? These two can't compete. They can't compete. Okay? The user has to do the work themselves. Okay? They can teach them, but eventually their timeline is going to cut short, and it's going to be the user that's going to continue on that journey. All right? But there's nothing like that in the actual movement industry, whereby when you get it, you don't need it anymore. It's almost like when you enter the movement industry, it becomes worse. Okay? It's because people aren't speaking truth. And eventually there's going to be a huge shift in the industry. And this is what is important to understand here, is that rhythm reset is literally the antidote, and it's also the antithesis. Okay? Everything's outside in perspective right now. But rhythm reset comes around and it's going to blow things out of proportion. The sovereignty level of each one of your clients are going to go through the roof. Okay? What that means for you is that you're going to get a lot of respect. Because you're essentially, once they realize what you just gave them, they're going to be like, oh my God, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for our time together. I appreciate you, bro. I'll see you around. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be bittersweet, but you're not going to hang on to clients too long, especially if you're doing your job, because a brunt of this rehab work needs to come from the inside. They just don't have the proper tools right, to do so. Not even surgery can cure your knee problem. And I've seen that firsthand as a massage therapist. Over a decade, I've seen almost 10,000 people. You don't think I've heard the horror stories? Seen, touched the horror stories? Oh, hey, how is it down there? Is it okay? And I'm looking at her knee like, oh my, this is a fucking shit show. You know what, man? No, it's just a little bit of tension. Yeah, yeah. Let's take a deep breath, right, and back into this into the session. Uh, and so, my God, imagine actually having that peace, where now Miss Brenda doesn't have to go through the system, and essentially it's narcissistic abuse, because it's warping of the mind, because it's increasing codependency. It's fueled by codependency, right? It's like, oh, feed on me for X. I have your answer, and then it's like, oh no, sorry, it's really this. Oh no, sorry, it's really that. Right? And so the industry continues to morph because it doesn't have the answer, but it morphs because the intention is control. Right? But again, one time with rhythm reset, and that's it. And it's not necessarily just rehab, but that's a good place to start. But do you guys understand the implications of what I'm trying to get you on board with? I'm trying to sway you. I'm trying to, politely manipulate you. Real talk. Because I know that what I have is so integrable, it's so sacred, and it's so necessary for right now, because people are just like Miss Brenda, and then she's got to go through months of rehab, and again the system that isn't teaching the full truth, right? What they teach is a segmented truth. Oh, let's get right to the knee, let's do some knee work, let's do some low back concentration, stuff like that. But meanwhile, they completely forget the base, because either they know and don't tell you, or don't know. And either situation is kind of sketchy to me. And so again, as professionals, just look at the whole industry. They're looking for something in every single discipline. There's a need for rhythm reset. And I'll show you why in just a second. Okay? And so in every single situation, there's a need for rhythm reset in one of two ways. Okay, so it's either in that rehab space or optimization space. And that's what's so powerful about rhythm reset, is it literally is doing both. It's one and the same, right? And it literally is better breathing. That's really what it equates to. And it's so miraculous that it's so simple, and I can't even overstate it. I cannot overstate it. Sorry, my fan is about to shut off. Okay, so yeah. So just look at the implications. How many people are clamoring for something real? But also, how many people who aren't really in that rehab mindset, like, hey, my body's kind of fine, but I'm just looking for some optimal performance. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, miss. You're going to be in the same class as Miss Betty, because to be honest with you, it's the same thing to get you there. Okay, now this can branch out. You can branch this out into just rhythm reset for life, or you want to add a discipline, which is some type of movement pattern with a canonology, certain movement. Yeah, that's it. Certain movement patterns with a canonology. That's essentially what a discipline is. It doesn't matter what it is: softball, martial arts, Taibo, CrossFit. Like, it has a certain way to do things. And yes, you can get to that, but you can't overstep your boundaries to where you're, again, like we were talking about in the other video, start to front load too much and bypass, right, the growth state of heart. So it's all in balance, and you'll figure this out as you go. But to bring it all home, okay? To bring it on home, because I'm ready to get out of here too. Number one, we gotta get you your aha moment. We gotta get you in working with me, and that's a paid coaching. You're gonna pay for this. This is your initiation. You're gonna pay for your self-care. You're gonna pay for your own salvation. You're gonna pay for a coach to help you through that process until the moment when you say, you know what, I'm good. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, once you have that aha moment and then you take it to the sovereign space to where you feel comfortable, then we're going to start to turn around and businessify it. Because this is what we have to do. We have to live, we have to make a paycheck. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And if you can make, a good living doing something that you love, why not do that? Right? How many people are on this planet? 8 billion. You think we can get a chunk of that? Right? Doing exactly what I'm doing to you? You think we can do that? I think it's absolutely possible. Absolutely. And so again, once we get you in an organic business state to where you're absolutely at the helm, right? This is my initial goal, is to get you to this place. I want you to CEO of your own company. Right? That's what I want. Whatever that looks like for you. So that's the business plan. That is definitely the business plan. To me, is there a clear present need for a rhythm reset in the industry? I think absolutely. And I think absolutely it's going to shift it overnight. And I think a lot of healthcare professionals are going to be very upset that they either said no to it initially or didn't know about it. Because it's literally going to be lights out. Lights out. So again, this is the second video. We kind of covered a little bit about the business tactics and business, proclamations for the reset. And we also kind of delved into, the TB1000, which is essentially the tongue breathing routine that I have. And we kind of took a look at, knee pain, low back pain a little bit, and how tongue breathing, the TB1000, applied within Rhythm Reset, can kind of alleviate, if not vanquish, the demons inside of our somatic experience. And yeah, it's a very miraculous thing. And if you still have questions, I think it's time to just take the leap. I think it's time to take the leap, because I can't tell you anything any more than what I've already told you. Right? $1 trillion industry, 8 billion people. Rhythm Reset is the answer to that. And is the answer to radical market capture. And so again, if you still have questions, this is the moment. Okay, I'll work with you on price, I'll work with you on payments, okay? But this is the moment. If you still have questions, that you need to sign up. Then you might be one of my lieutenants. You might be one of the first people to really dive into this with me. And again, turn around and start to bless other people. So I hope that I brought you to that moment, because I need you. I need your prowess, I need your cunning right now. Anyway, thank you for listening. I wish you have a blessed day, and hopefully we'll see you on the inside. All right, thank you guys.